This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to DRTSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello, and a warm welcome to Dr. Amitav Banerjee ji. We call him as Bhishma Pita of community medicine or epidemiology, and he is heading that department in Pune's Dr. Y. Patil Medical College. And I'm thankful and grateful to him because we have been raising issues concerning public. We say when opposition is running away without discussing anything on the floor of parliament, and the same is attributed, the ruling party jolly well happily passes bill after bill without any discussion, and that too when it is pertaining to Indians as a whole. The Indians, when Indians matter, the citizens matter, citizens' right to life matters, right to health matters, their freedom of choosing which sort of treatment they need in case if they are diseased, if their comfort levels are gone, maybe whichever theory, viral, bacterial, parasitic, we are not here to discuss, but he has a choice. But what this freedom is taken away by the commercial giants, with due respects to all those wonderful organizations who are doing human service, the pharma, in the name of such, if they start experimenting those drugs, make doctors or physicians, hospitals to write all those experimental drugs which we have witnessed during COVID-19 time. We were asking what does these vaccines contain? Till today they did not bother. What does remdesivir contain? They did not. If the same happens with every smaller minor ailment, such type of medicines, if they are prescribed under trial without any liability and compensation, what would happen to the lives of Indians? Are lives given away just like that on a platter? And that is why Jan Vishwas, has it been Vishwas of the Indians, India? Now they have removed the criminalization of any such eventuality by pharma companies. Any damage to your body or anything, there will not be a criminal case, only penalties. And those penalties, by the time it is proved, your life may have gone, you may become decapacitated or afflicted with so many side effects. Such is an important bill, with due respects to whatever happening in Manipur. But under Manipur testing, such important bill has been passed without any discussion. How important it is for India, Indians, their right to life, right to health, right to freedom, and how dangerous it would be. We are going to discuss it with Dr. Amitav Banerjee ji. Once again, welcome, sir. Thank you very much
Thank you.
for being part
Thank
of
you.
DRTS journey all
Thank
through.
you, Dr. Reddy. It's always a pleasure to come on this platform. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. And today we will be discussing about certain cumulative gradual modifications in rules and regulations, which goes more in the favor of pharma company rather than the patient safety. I mean, apparently it appears that everybody will be benefited because the cost will come down, and Jan Vishwas Bill, the argument behind it to justify it is that it will make doing business easier in India, faster and easier. But the problem is that all already existing regulations regarding the quality control of drugs and cosmetics, they are in very poor state. The regulations are in a very poor state of implementation. Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940, and if you make it any more lenient, it is very unfortunate. I mean, we can expect a lot of issues with quality control. So that's why I said now traditionally, and in addition, after the Jan Biswas bill, another regulation, a gazette was passed, which restricted the doctors to prescribe only generic drugs. So this again if you take it in together with the Jan Vishwas Bill, where there are some minor offences like the drug is not of standard quality, and if severe punishment is removed, criminalization is removed, and if you put lot of generic drugs come into the market, which may be much cheaper, but there are already issues with quality control of generic drugs. So again, patient safety will be compromised. And there is another third thing. There are certain advocacy groups which have approached the Ministry of Health to make biosimilars, to make it easy for biosimilars to come into the market, and without any testing for its safety, efficacy, or inadequate testing or animal studies. So biosimilars are biological products. They are similar to biological products, but they are not 100% similar, because there are different biological products which are supposed to have the same action and perhaps efficacy and same safety. But again, since they are dissimilar, they are called biosimilar, but they are not like chemical drugs. They are biological products like monoclonal antibodies or even mRNA vaccines. They are called biologicals. So if they are not tested properly before being introduced, so again there is a concern of safety hazard. So this would be the my I will give some data and some rules changes which has come, and some which are suggested. So my theme was like, earlier there was a good doctor-patient relationship or patient-physician relationship. So now what has happened? Can I share the screen? Yeah, I
Sir,
will share the screen.
you are the presenter,
I
sir.
will. Uh, so now I can share the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. You can enlarge it.
So this is, I have named it physician, patient, and pharma, Pati, Patni, and Wo. Why I have named it? Earlier it was a two-way relationship, the doctor and the patient. The doctor directly dealt with the patient, and patient directly dealt with the doctor. And doctor used his judgment and discretion and experience to see what is best in the interest of the patient. There was a mutual trust. The patient used to trust the doctor, doctor used to trust the patient. And now, just like in a relationship, the triangle has come. So there is a third factor now. Over the period of time, the autonomy of the doctor has been gradually compromised by the influence of pharma. And pharma gives some direct or indirect incentives, mostly not to the doctor, but to the market. So basically, it is the market forces which has come. And before, as I said, before we proceed to see the context of the Jan Vishwas Bill and the other gazette, which are guidelines to doctors to prescribe only generic medicines and biosimilars, it would be very appropriate to give how we have performed. Recently, we all know that there have been certain unfortunate incidences like deaths of young children in Uzbekistan, Gambia from cough syrup, and that is also few years back in Jammu also we had such instances. And then there have been recent reports of certain eye complications or eye drops in USA by eye drops exported from India. So that shows there are a lot of cracks in a lot of shortcomings in a drug regulation system. So instead of tightening it, if you make it more lenient, we are going in the wrong direction. So I'll just say that this is the some of the unfortunate setbacks we had. Cough syrups were found contaminated with diethyl glycol. This is a solvent which is used in industry, and it is a very poisonous if it is contamination to cough syrup, or it causes kidney damage and other organ damage. So these are some of the recent instances. 69 children died in Gambia in October, and within a month 19 children in Uzbekistan died within a month. So these are because of the our regulatory system is got lot of loopholes we have got, and lot of we have got inadequate resources. We have inadequate drug inspectors. We have got a lot of incoordination between the center and the state, and lot of these are some of the reasons. Instead of tightening our system, we are trying to make it more easy for any oversight by the manufacturers to get away with just compounding, as they call it, by paying a fine instead of imprisonment. So, just a brief history of diethyl glycol poisoning. As I said, it's a solvent. So, first in 1937, it was the first instance of diethyl glycol. It was used as a sulfa drugs, solvent for sulfa drugs, the newest discovered antibiotic, and 104 patients died because of the poisoning. And the chemist himself committed suicide. He was so full of remorse. So it was not intentional. It was not known that time. After this, the drug regulation became very strict in USA, and since 1935, since that 1937 rather 1937, there have been not a single instance of diethyl DEG poisoning in America. So if they can do it, other countries can also do it. Unfortunately, in other parts of the world, this has become very common. 7 children died in South Africa in 69. Nigeria, 47 children died in 1990 and 84 in 2018. So this diethyl glycol is still continuing poisoning. Bangladesh, 236 children died in 1990. Argentina, 29 children, 92. Haiti, 88 children, 96. And Panama, 365. And you see, India also. India is claiming to be the pharmacy of the world. Five major events. Madras, 15 children died, 1972. 1986, JJ Hospital, 14 children died, which led to a commission of inquiry presided over by Justice Lentin. We will just see the major finding. Bihar, again 11 patients. Gurgaon, 33 patients. And latest is in Jammu, 12 children died. This is just the tip of the iceberg, because these are the severe cases who have died of kidney failure. If the cough syrup has been already thrown in the market, there may be milder cases which may have kidney problem later in life. I'm just thinking that way. Okay, these are just the only reported cases, severe cases. So, won't this harm if it has got even traces of diethyl glycol? It may be accidental, it may be deliberate. Most likely, because what the small manufacturer does, it outsources the other compounds. It's a drug is one element, then they require solvent, they require incipients, they require other agents to stabilizers. So these are from different sources, and these are supposed to be tested, the different components of the product besides the active ingredient. Then even the pressure of the tablet form में how much that machine, because that will affect the stability. So this, because of the lack of resources, most of these manufacturers, small time manufacturers, do not have the resources or the laboratory, the science to test everything. So it may not be, I mean, it may be very difficult whether it is accidental. Mostly it is accidental, but at what level? Until we have a good system, we don't. So as I said, 1988 in JJ Hospital. After that, there was a inquiry commission headed by Justice Lentin, and State Health Minister had to resign, and many officials were suspended. So that was in 1988. Even after that, we have been having this poisoning, diethyl glycol. And this diethyl glycol may be just the tip of the iceberg. There may be so many other agents which we may not be knowing, but if the quality is poor of one thing, we get worried that other drugs also may be having minor contaminants which may not have a drastic effect, that short-term death, but perhaps long-term organ damage may be there, which may not be able to establish the cause effect also. So this was the summary of the Lentin report. Ugly face of the human mind or human nature. Errors of judgment, misuse of ministerial power and authority, because most of these pharma companies, they get political patronage. Apathy towards human life, corruption nexus between unscrupulous license holders, analytical laboratories, elements in the industry, traders, merchants, suppliers, the FDA, and persons holding ministerial rank. So the actual rot is upstream, right from the policy, politics, power, money, pharma, and the poor doctor patient is at the bottom, downstream. So they are totally, the doctor has lost autonomy, the patient has lost autonomy, other conflicts of interest are endangering patient safety. Now, as I said, that this is the background. So everybody, even a common sense will say that we have to sort out our drug regulations. We have to make it more strict. Drugs and Cosmetic Act. It is very surprising that we are going in the other direction. There are three developments which endanger patient safety further. One is the Jan Vishwas Bill, then second is the relaxation of quality control for biosimilars and the NMC guidelines. So we will be discussing each one of them. So what is the Jan Vishwas Bill? Actually, name is sounding Vishwas, but Vishwas means trust. So unfortunately, the trust word is being misused nowadays very often. We have heard during the pandemic, trust the science. So how much we trust the science if the science is not correctly practiced? So the Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha passed the Jan Vishwas Bill in July and August 2023, and there were no proper debate actually. It was in a hurried fashion. It decriminalizes 183 provision in 42 laws. I mean, it is not only Drugs and Cosmetic Act, other laws also. So today we will be discussing, since it is a health topic, only as it pertains to health. So what concerns us today is the amendment to Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940, Section 27D has made a provision for compounding of offences that can be compromised. Compounding means instead of the imprisonment, you can pay and you can have a out of court settlement. So the question is, will quality suffer of this? I mean, this is of course there. It has 27D says that if a drug is not of standard quality, I mean, it may have a little less of this or a little less of that, and as on today, 3% of the drugs in the market are not of standard quality, and 10% in government supplies are not of standard quality. These are just conservative figures, but make this if this we make this bill, that then perhaps there will be more quantity with less quality, because the deterrent will not be there. And what is paying fine when the profit is margin is high, people will pay fine, get away with it. So this is the matter of concern. And the bill was passed with little debate. The bill fulfills a long-standing wish of the pharma industry that if you suffer bodily harm from substandard drug, no one will be held criminally accountable. They have decriminalized the provision that you can compound it, you can pay a fine. It may, you see, of course, if there are spurious thing, or if there are some toxin, that will this bill modification is not covered in that. But this is for but here also there can be bodily harm, because if you are suffering from a disease and if the drug is not of standard quality, your disease may get serious or you may die from the disease. So directly or indirectly, the patient's safety is endangered. One of the only one MP, I think, gave a response. When we buy a medicine, we assume the government has verified that it will work and it won't harm us. But the proposed amendment bill, not will now reduce punishments for medicines that are not of standard quality. It benefits big business but harms all of us. Very dangerous. This is MP Ovasi. Gazette notification. Then this is about Jan Vishwas Bill. Then there is in association with that, there is an other notification, because Jan Vishwas been in isolation also, it is quite I mean, it's quite a matter for concern, but taken with another gazette notification, it compounds the problem. I mean, it increases the concern. The gazette notification on 2nd August is dictate to doctors to prescribe generics. Prescribe generics or face suspension of license. If a doctor is found not to prescribe generic, his or her license will be suspended for 1 month. Of course, as I said, on the face of it, it appears that it will benefit the people because the generic drugs are 30 to 80% cheaper. But again comes the question of quality. Poor drug regulation in India. And we have seen the news from around the world coming about dangerous impacts of cough syrups and eye drops from India. So you see, again it is taking away the autonomy of the doctors because doctors from the experience they know that certain generics work and certain generics do not work so well because the generics are also of two types. One are branded generics, others are just non-branded generics. And the costliest are the one which are still having the patent. So once the patent period is over, there are some other companies who take over manufacturing. They are called branded generics, and then there are because the company also quality control varies, and then the unbranded generics. So there is a lot of variation among generics also. So doctors, by their experience, they from the patient response and to the treatment. So they have an idea. Each doctor gets an idea that he is comfortable with this brand of generic or this drug. And if the doctors have to prescribe, so you are taking away the art of medicine. Art of medicine is the experience. So, and you may take away the art, but to back it up, there should be a good science. What is the science? Science should be good quality control, good testing, good laboratories, adequate number of drug inspectors. So you are not having the science and you are taking away the art. So this is something which is very, very concerning that you are killing the art of medicine and without having a backup of a robust science. IMA, Indian Medical Association, was also concerned. IMA expressed its reservations and concerns around drug safety, saying that less than 0.1% of the drugs manufactured in India are tested for quality. So one can imagine how much gap is there in quality control. Matlab means 99.99% drugs are just because, as I said, the resources are not there. We should have more drug inspectors, more laboratories, and more coordination between the state and the center. Then guidelines by the NMC should be deferred. This is the demand of the IMA, and I believe they have recently met the health minister also. Guidelines by the NMC should be deferred until the government can assure the quality of all the drugs released into the market. Patient care and safety are non-negotiable. This is the statement by IMA. And Dinesh Thakur and Prasant Reddy has written a book, The Truth Pill. This was released just after the tragedy of the cough syrups in Gambia and Uzbekistan. And this book created a lot of flutter, lot of it has brought out the shortcomings of quality control of generic drugs in India, besides many other shortcomings in drug regulation. It is an essential read for all stakeholders, including patients and citizens of India. Then the third issue which I wanted to bring to notice is there is a move for relaxation of guidelines for biosimilars. In 2016, there was a guideline for quality control of biosimilars, and there is a letter submitted by many civil society groups to the health ministry asking for revision of biosimilar guidelines of 2016 and this to do away with both animal studies and comparative efficacy trials for the approval of biosimilars. So again, this like generic, this will bring down the price of these drugs, but again, it will endanger the quality, endanger patient. It may because of poor quality if there is no quality control. And then just to explain what are biosimilars? Biosimilars are biological products approved by regulatory agencies based on demonstration of similarity in quality, safety, and efficacy with reference biologics. Reference biologics are the standard biologic products, and there may be some other biological products which may be not same to them, but they may have the same action. So they require stringent comparative evaluation to ensure that they are safe and efficacious. They are increasingly being used to treat cancers and chronic autoimmune disorders like arthritis or other autoimmune disease. So, of course, this cancer treatment can be very costly, and if quality biosimilars are there, which definitely it may help, but if the biosimilar is not tested, we do not know neither we would know the quality, neither the efficacy. And a paper published in Indian Journal of Medical Research in 2020 titled Similar Biologics in India, a story of access or potential for compromise. So here they had predicted that about potential for compromise on safety issues. So this paper was published 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, which I predicted that there may be temptation to lower the standards. So all these three things taken together is a matter of concern. We we should not rush through it. Idea is it may be good, but it has to be decided on a case to case basis, and particularly in a country where we are having so many accidents due to substandard drugs and so many accidents abroad due to drugs and pharmaceutical products exported from India. This all these three moves is being carried out in unholy haste. So, what are the hazards of relaxing the guidelines? Further relaxation of clinical trial biosimilar is a dangerous step that will put a big question mark on the quality assurance and efficacy of these drugs. Biosimilars are not only need testing during manufacturing but also intra-batch testing to ensure consistency in quality control. Absence of proper quality checks in a country with a poorly functioning pharmacovigilance system. This is another gray area. After the drug is in the market, we should have a long-term monitoring and a reporting system that is called pharmacovigilance. So that is also poor in a country. To closely monitor, we are lacking, will be hazardous to patient safety. So do we want to adverse imperial drug to be greater than the disease itself? To first do no harm. That has can only be ensured by proper quality checks. All three moves favors pharma. All of the three highlights here bring to light how regulations in the pharma industry are tilting towards the interest of the industry, with little heed being paid to the end user, the patient. While bringing down prices of medicine and facilitating accessibility is important, should it come at the cost of patient lives? So these are populist moves. So patient may feel he is getting drugs at low price, but the safety issue should come first. Thank you. This is what all I have.
Wonderful, sir. I hope easily the best presentation you have made over these years. So now we will discuss just for a few minutes. Now, don't you think Indian Medical Association should be held responsible for its unstinted support at the cost of science, truth, and logic during COVID pandemic?
Uh, Actually, that is the issue. If you compromise once, you are forced to compromise again and again. So it should be a lesson that one should not compromise. So
Yeah,
because this mRNA vaccine is also a biosimilar, because now even after the very uncertain benefits and possible harms of mRNA gene-based vaccines, there is a trying to they are trying to expand the mRNA vaccine for other conditions. So this is also a biosimilar. mRNA,
yeah,
it's a gene-based product. It's a biological product. So this move to relax standards for biosimilar may also flood the Indian market with number of gene-based products. So, and which will just, it would be just chaos. It would be anarchy. So we have to be
yeah.
very
And
careful.
with that, why I stressed Indian Medical Agents Association is we were shouting from the rooftops, "Come to the rescue of people." How can you flood vaccines without under trial vaccines without liability and compensation for a disease which has got 99.99% recovery on its own? The statistics which we have replayed everywhere. Indian Medical Association kept quiet. Now, because of their keeping silent, now such a dangerous thing. No one says we don't want drugs cheaper. Mr. Modi and all political parties. We want drugs to be cheaper because ultimately patient should benefit. Government is a welfare activity. So, but at the same time, Don't you think it is the question of life? Once when you are trading with life, the drugs without proper testing, without proper quality, you can just introduce them into the market just like that. And Mr. Modi and the cabinet, direct question to you: if you think these drugs are very safe, then why did you remove that criminal provision? What, sir? If you think these drugs are going to be very safe and at the same time cheaper, then why did you amend this act, Cosmetics and Drug Act? Amitav Banerjee.
No, you cannot. You see, today there are few drugs. If you relax the rule, there will be many people will jump into the market. So there is no deterrence. So as it is with the present lot of drugs, we are having problems. We first should expand our drug regulation facilities. We should streamline it. We should have state-of-art laboratories. We should increase the staff. I mean, IMA statement says that only 0.1% of our drugs are tested. That is a very
Yeah, that's the biggest,
unfortunate.
very unfair. They are keeping quiet. 0.1% by Indian Medical Association official statement are only tested. Then 99.99% drugs go into the market without any testing. How is that Indian Medical
And
Association with all
now,
the
if they
doctors
are
keeping quiet?
if they are found not standard quality, there won't be any criminal punishment. So they can pay and get away with it. And as it is, there are a lot of corruption. Otherwise, also without this, they are paying as it is most of the time. There's so now they can very well. I mean, something like nationalizing corruption.
Nationalizing corruption is a big word because funding of political parties, electoral bonds has become opaque, Mr. Modi. I don't know how why RSS and all those organizations are keeping quiet when it
No,
comes to
but
your
it
own
is
life.
the opposition is also silent. No, you can't blame one party. So
Well,
you
that is
see, in
why
other countries, the
they're not
opposition
blaming one
members
party.
are getting up.
No, no, sir. Here I said electoral bonds bill has
Yeah.
passed in the parliament. If opposition has raised any objection, it would have gone to standing committee. Opposition with the ruling party are equally opportune because they are getting funding from pharmacies. This is what I'm trying to tell you. See, in the name of Manipur, Jan Vishwas Bill is passed with such dangerous happenings to the lives of Indians. Why opposition is keeping quiet? Except Asaduddin Owaisi, at least he registered a token of this thing. His recording is there officially in the parliament. Did anyone from the opposition do that? Or you mean to say these opposition politicians are, or even the ruling party politicians, they're not aware of these provisions in the bill, sir? What do you think as a doctor and as a professional doctor, as a
They
physician?
are everybody has got some interest. It's they are all compromised, and they always blame the doctors. You see, they say that doctors take a bribe from cuts from pharma companies and they prescribe that. So they doctors is made the scapegoat. And there may be there are bad hats in every profession. There may be some, but by and large, you cannot generalize. You see, by and large, as if everybody is honest, only doctors are taking cuts and pharma. That is also very, very unbalanced view. Most of the doctors, they,
Doctor physician becomes the end part with the with the
yeah,
patient, because
yeah.
the drugs are allowed into the market with the legislations on the floor of assembly and parliament, mainly parliament. So it is the parliament, I mean politicians, and again in turn it is they are the administrators, IAS and these lobbies who implement these orders. Now
No,
leaving
it
them,
is just like
they're targeting
you say.
physicians.
I don't know why only in medicine and doctors they are passing such a. You buy a product, you choose a brand which you have faith in. You go to a hotel, you choose a brand. You go to a liquor shop, you can choose Scotch whiskey. Otherwise, you bola nahi, you have to take only country liquor only. I mean, it comes to that कि if generic है तो आपको country liquor ही मिलेगा. तो
Yeah.
ऐसा तो अभी दवाई आप जनरिक लो. It should be left to the choice of the doctor and the patient. You may educate the doctor may be asked. They can be yeah, that rationally a doctor can be asked by the patient can be asked by the doctor, and it can be a doctor patient relationship between the mutual trust. And the doctor can explain to the patient, ki, look here, these are the drugs, this is the generic drug, this is so much cheaper. but few generics are working, and from the doctor's experience by treating other patients, he may be able to convey ki what are his feelings, ki how well this medicine is or how well. देखिए, we buy some branded thing, हम जूता खरीदते हैं बाटा का, तो हम दूसरा कोई कंपनी का, फिर हम अपने एक्सपीरियंस से बताते हैं ना कि ये बाटा का जूता अच्छा होता है, इसका इतना अच्छा नहीं है, ये लोकल मुची का है। तो ऐसे दवाई में भी यही है, बिकॉज there are various grades of quality, and by personal experience, and you cannot say कि नहीं आप यही खरीदोगे। I mean all, I mean it's not it, I mean logic भी नहीं है इसमें, forget about science। तो you leave it to the doctor and the patient, and the patient के पास जितना पैसा होगा उसी हिसाब से जाएगा ना वो डॉक्टर के पास, and वो उसी
तो
डॉक्टर
हम
को फिर
दूसरा
बोलेगा कि
लगाते हैं।
मेरे को ब्रांडेड दवाई चाहिए, I am ready to pay if I have got money। Like if I have got money, I can go in a Mercedes, and government will say no, you cannot use a Mercedes, आप हमारे ऑटो में जाइएगा, वो जेनरिक है, वो भी ले जाता है। तो ऐसे में मतलब ये प्रॉब्लम, मतलब इसमें कोई लॉजिक नहीं है।
तो यू मीन टू से
You
हम
leave it,
ऐसा
you
लगा,
leave it to the capacity of the
हम ऐसा
doctor and the
बताएंगे,
patient।
नाउ ऐसे बताएंगे, अब नाउ आफ्टर जन विश्वास बिल, लेट अस पुट ऑल दिस जेनरिक मेडिसिन in the parliament dispensaries, assembly dispensaries, और all the politicians and administrators, IAS IPS IRS, ये लोग जहां भी जाते हैं, ये लोग इनके फैमिलीज वहां पर ये पहले ये ड्रग्स लगा देते हैं। लेट देम बिकम
नहीं
ब्रांड
देखिए,
एम्बेसडर।
ये क्या है कि अभी जो नॉट स्टैंडर्ड क्वालिटी जो गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल्स में मिले, इंक्लूडिंग द डिफेंस सर्विसेज, जनरल मार्केट में 3% वर नॉट स्टैंडर्ड क्वालिटी, एंड गवर्नमेंट सप्लाई जो पब्लिक हॉस्पिटल्स में 10% were below standard quality. So that itself indicates there is a lot of corruption in government departments and government hospitals. So अभी क्या वही करप्शन ये अभी सब जगह लाना चाहते हैं। तो वही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि नेशनलाइज करना चाहते हैं करप्शन को, आई मीन फार्मा के
नेशनलाइज
बेनिफिट के लिए।
for the sake of pharma benefit, for the sake of funds from pharmas to political parties, they want to nationalize corruption. So हम यही कहते हैं कि भाई आप politicians हो, administrators हो, और पूरे बंदे जो भी गवर्नमेंट के हो, जो हु आर मेकिंग डिसीजंस, फर्स्ट लेट देम टेक ऑल दिस जेनरिक मेडिसिन। ये लोग कहाँ भी जाते हैं, जो भी हॉस्पिटल जाते हैं, इनको खाली जेनरिक मेडिसिन से ही ट्रीटमेंट देना चाहिए। नाउ डॉक्टर्स शुड आल्सो कम टुगेदर। नाउ इंडियन मेडिकल
नहीं
एसोसिएशन
then
शुड बी हेल्ड responsible. Why? Because they are saying only 0.1% are tested. 99.99% if they are not tested drugs, how is that you are allowing doctors to prescribe them? Why Indian Medical Association, even during COVID-19, we were shouting from the rooftop, has allowed trial vaccines, now mRNA. In August 2020, let WHO, we have challenged. We said because of mRNA technology, these vaccines have got these 6 major issues. First, you address them. We challenged them. We released that into the public domain. Till today, no one has bothered, because you are talking about biosimilars also. I am talking about the safety and efficacy of the drug, safety of the patients, and efficacy of the drugs to cure any disease. So how do you look at this scenario, sir? Now, who should be held responsible? IMA?
another thing they have overlooked is the pharmacist, the chemist. It is up to the chemist. In fact, the chemist has got more power than the doctor today, because when the patient goes to prescription of a generic drug, and then there is he gives any generic drug, he may start getting cuts from the company directly। ये
Yeah.
generic, generic की broad term है ना।
Yes.
दूसरी बात है कि अभी आप देखिएगा, आपने जो फार्मा जो सबस्टैंडर्ड प्रोडक्ट बना रहा है, उसका आपने जो भी पेनल्टी है उसको लीनियंट कर दिया। आपने लीनियंट क्या निकाल ही दिया, कंपाउंडेड कर दिया, पे कर दो और
हाँ।
निकल जाओ। डॉक्टर्स
जेल
ने
नहीं है,
खाली
खाली पैसे बन के बच जाओ।
और
पैसे बन के
डॉक्टर्स
बच
का
जाओ
जो
तो जेल।
स्ट्रिक्ट,
हाँ।
देखिए डॉक्टर्स का आपने क्या किया, अगर उसने जेनरिक ड्रग नहीं प्रिस्क्राइब किया, उसको लाइसेंस ले लोगे आप। आई मीन यू कैन इमेजिन हाउ हार्श इट इज ऑन अ डॉक्टर हु हैज क्वालिफाइड, हु हैज गॉट सो मच एक्सपीरियंस, हु नोज द which drug is better, which brand is better, which generic is better, from his or her personal experience, from the art of medicine. Medicine is an art. You cannot have so much rules on a person who is practicing the art. अब उसको आपने इतना स्ट्रिक्ट पनिशमेंट दे दिया, और बाकी फार्मासिस्ट को छोड़ दिया, ड्रग कंपनी को छोड़ दिया, और भी जो कन्फ्लिक्ट्स ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ऑफिशियल्स को छोड़ दिया। अब इतने सारे अभी आपके सब स्टैंडर्ड दवाई बाहर तक पूरे वर्ल्ड में वी आर गेटिंग अ बैड नेम एज फार्मेसी ऑफ द वर्ल्ड। तो ये बिल्कुल अनबैलेंस्ड है ये, मतलब दिस इज व्हाट इज माय कंसर्न।
तो मैं ऐसा लगाता हूँ आपको, नाउ दे डोंट वांट एजुकेटेड डॉक्टर्स, मेडिकल कोर्स
हाँ
अब
वो
तो
नहीं
ऐसा,
नहीं चाहते।
no, मैं ऐसे बोल, वी आर ओपनिंग मेडिकल कॉलेजेस एवरीवेयर, बट होलिस्टिक इंडियन ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन सिस्टम अब उसको तो खत्म ही कर दिया. होलिस्टिक अप्रोच शुड बी देयर, दैट यू हैव ऑलरेडी कम नाउ. यहाँ पर एलोपैथी वेस्टर्न डॉक्टर्स का, you don't want them to practice now you don't want a doctor to take care of health of the people of India. You want only a chemist and a pharma run chemist, pharma controlled chemist, and pharma chemist controlled political parties because they are funding them, and the administrators officers to implement such. They want, you want them to take care of health, not doctors fraternity anymore. Is that so, sir? Don't you think Indian Medical Association take major
Yeah, I mean, this requires, abhi, let us ask for a proper parliament debate, civic society debate, and patient group debate. There are many patients group which have approached me also. Some of my columns may be coming on 17th September, that is Patient Safety Day, World Patient Safety Day. So what is the, I have also written in the column, the problem is patients are not aware all these things are happening. बिकॉज इसका
sure?
कोई अगर पार्लियामेंट में भी डिबेट नहीं होता, इसको इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं दिया जाता, तो इग्नोरेंस रहता है. सो इसको अभी जैसे आपके प्रोग्राम है, ऐसे दूसरे प्रोग्राम है, न्यूज़ मीडिया है, they should raise this concerns and let it be debated, and then only we can have a safe way. Otherwise it is the pharma is coming in a big way, and it involves, as you said, the party funds and other things, politicians, bureaucrats, and everybody gets into the game.
See, in a democracy, we should discuss, debate. We may differ, but ultimately, when Parliament is discussing, when Assembly is discussing, people will understand. Oh, something important is happening. But
Yeah,
without any discussion, if you pass such an important bill pertaining to the lives of Indians, India means citizens. Citizens means he or she is a constitutional authority. Prime Minister to Chief Minister, they're all public servants. And how is that your public servants are imposing on the constitutional authority? Because there is no discussion. कोई चर्चा ही नहीं होती है यार पार्लियामेंट में, लोकसभा में. जन विश्वास, इतनी बड़ी बिल, आज जन का आरोग्य उनको अविश्वास के रूप में ले गया. कोई डॉक्टर को प्रिस्क्राइब करने की जरूरत नहीं है, अब डॉक्टर पढ़ाई भी खत्म कर देंगे. कोई एक फार्मा और इवन chemists also will become scapegoats tomorrow after a time. And unfortunately, even chemists, after a pharmacist or chemist, will also be made a scapegoat tomorrow, because all these pharmaceutical companies, they themselves will try to impose everything on the society. Now because you have removed criminal aspect, अब कोई दवा कम दाम में हो, हर कोई चाहता है. हम यही चाहते हैं भाई, कारपोरेट हॉस्पिटल जाए आप, वहां पर आईसीयू में क्या हो रहा है सब कुछ पता चलना चाहिए. आप क्या दे रहे, कैसे मर रहे लोग. कोविड 19 के टाइम पे देखिए आप, रेमडेसिविर हो या डर से हो या कोविड 19 के वैक्सीन से, कुछ भी पता नहीं. हम यही चाहते हैं कि सब कुछ चिकित्सा जो है पारदर्शिता के साथ हर एक इंसान को पता रहनी चाहिए, रोगी को और रोगी के उनके परिवार को पता रहने चाहिए कि क्या हो रहा है रोगी के साथ. तो ऐसे बिना रोगी को या बिना नागरिक को पता, आज जन विश्वास बिल ने ऐसे लाए आप. वहां का जेल का जो, अगर ये दवा से मेरे को कुछ, मेरे शारीरिक या दूसरी मानसिक का कुछ पीड़ा होती है ये दवा लेने से, उसको कोई जेल नहीं है अभी, वो सब खत्म कर दिया है ये बिल के द्वारा. खाली थोड़ा फाइन बन के वो छूट जाएगा. इसका मतलब आपका जीवन का कोई रक्षा ही नहीं. क्या सरकार इस तरह कर सकता है? और सरकार इस तरह की बिल ला रही है, तो हमारी प्रतिपक्ष क्या कर रही है? ये लोग क्यों बात नहीं करते? हम इसीलिए यही बोलते कि फार्मा का पैसे से जो राजनीति चल रहा है, उसी के बदौलत इलेक्ट्रल बॉन्ड्स बिल जो है, आज कोई समाचार नहीं ले सकते. ये एक है ऐसा, इसके वजह से हमारे जान आज खतरे में है. जन विश्वास के नाम पे जन का जीवन आज खतरे में गया है. इसीलिए जागो और इंडियन मेडिकल एसोसिएशन का भी श्रेय लेना पड़ेगा. कोविड 19 महामारी के समय ये लोग चुपचाप बैठे. आज यही लोग बात करते हैं कि 0.1% दवाइयां ही टेस्ट करी जाती है. इसका मतलब है 99.99% जो मार्केट में है वो बिना टेस्ट की जाती है. और ये जन विश्वास बिल के साथ और जो दो बिल है, इसके बदौलत अब उस कोई पकड़ भी नहीं सकते आप, क्योंकि कोई जेल नहीं होगा, खाली फाइन बन के जाएगा. आप और आपके परिवार मरो, ये दवाई लेके कुछ भी हो, उनको कोई वास्ता नहीं है. क्या सरकार इस तरह रहेगा? क्या हम चुने लोग इस तरह की कानून बना सकते हैं क्या? आप सोचिए, can elected representatives be so naive without any discussion? Can they pass such bills which are going to endanger lives of every citizen in the name of availability of cheaper medicines without any quality control? Yes, you bring quality control, then you make these drugs available at a cheaper rate, everyone will appreciate. And then Indian Medical Association, it says only 0.1% drugs are tested. Then why were you keeping quiet, Indian Medical Association? Because of your lapse during COVID-19 and all. Don't you think you are endangering the doctors fraternity now? Now they are being controlled. Doctors are not supposed to write other than generic drugs, but a pharma controlled chemist, pharmacist can prescribe anything, because now there is no criminalization of what they are doing. That means this India, in a future, this thing, you don't need any doctors. पढ़े लिखे डॉक्टर्स की जरूरत नहीं है, इसके पहले जो हकीम वगैरह थे, और उस तरह के सिस्टम आज ले आना चाह रहे क्या? आर यू गोइंग टू ब्रिंग दैट आर्केइक practice into India? No doctors, anyone pharma can prescribe now. What would happen to your lives? That is why even we were demanding a holistic approach with all Indian traditional systems of medicine. Nothing you are listening. Now with this, even mRNA like biosimilars, they are going to be more dangerous. Gene based drugs, vaccines, they will create havoc as they are doing in Europe and USA. There people have realized, they started to oppose, the courts have become active there, their opposition leaders have become very active. Then what is happening to India? Yes sir, your last passing comment.
मेरा यही है कि जो मीडिया को भी हर सिटीजन ऑफ अ डेमोक्रेसी, हर सिटीजन, हर सोशल एक्टिविस्ट, बायोएथिसिस्ट, all people should be made aware for a vibrant debate. और जैसे आपने भी बताया कि पार्लियामेंट में जब दूसरा क्राइसिस के लोगों का ध्यान दूसरी तरफ है, उस टाइम ये ऐसे पास करा दिया गया कि डिबेट नहीं हुआ तो लोगों को पता भी न चले। तो और ऐसा भी है कि समझते भी नहीं है, हो सकता है हमारे पार्लियामेंट भी को भी आइडिया नहीं है कि हो क्या रहा है। और एज इट इज फार्मा का जो भी है, बट उनका इन्फ्लुएंस काफ़ी है पूरे वर्ल्ड में आजकल, उनका काफ़ी इन्फ्लुएंस है, पॉलिटिक्स में भी उनका लॉबिंग है। तो ये सब वजह है, और इसके लिए ओनली पीपल कैन पुश बैक जब करेंगे, क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे, तभी ये स्लोगन से काम नहीं होगा, क्रिटिकल क्वेश्चन पूछना है। मेड इन इंडिया ये स्लोगन और ये वगैरह वगैरह, तो इसको क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे तभी पॉलिटिशियन विल बी अकाउंटेबल। थैंक यू।
Yeah, make politicians accountable, otherwise democracy will be in peril. Democracy means citizens lives, citizens freedom, their right to health, right to resources, to be logically and rightfully utilized in a transparent and accountable way. They will all be gone if there is no debate in the flow, that too on an important topic like the life of citizens. When that is compromised, nothing happens. Now if it is 0.1%, Indian Medical Association also has to now come out clean why they were keeping quiet. Because now nationalization of corruption, as the drugs which are being supplied are of low quality in government hospitals, now the same will happen in entire India. Will the politicians, the administrators who are going to implement, and they're pampered, will they take these type of medicines? This is what we have been questioning. First make them or force all these politicians who are making such type of laws, including ruling and opposition keeping quiet, let them and their families and those administrators who want to implement, who bring such type of bills, first they be administered with such type of drugs, such type of treatment. Simply every citizen should understand what does vaccines contain, what does these medicines contain, how cough syrups have been keep creating havoc in the world supplied by India, and the same Jammu in 2019, what happened to that, Mr. Modi? Why it is under wraps? If these things are brought out, discussed, debated, the quality testing, and the pharmacovigilance after the drug comes into the market. The drug quality testing and pharmacovigilance, they play a major part. Otherwise, your life is gone, because there is no criminalization of anything from now onwards except a compounding fee. Can the life be brought back? Or if you are decapacitated or incapacitated with side effects with such drugs, who will look after you and your family? You yourself is responsible. Every citizen, if you don't raise your voice when it is concerning your life, your right to health, as it was happening in COVID-19, now post COVID-19, this is a biggest attack on the individual liberty, freedom to health or right to health. That is going to be a history if you don't act now. So I want every citizen of India raise their voice. Come on, start writing to Parliament, every political party, every assembly, right from Panchayat to Lok Sabha. You keep writing. And Indian Medical Association, at least now, better late than never. The way you have caved in during COVID-19, is that mistake becoming very costlier for the doctors fraternity? Thank you very much, sir. Do support DRTSPA
Thank you.
channels,
Thank you.
DRTSPA channel,
Thank you.
environment people, DRTSPA channel in larger public interest. This will be retelecasted on Citizens DRTSPA channel soon. Thank you very much, sir.